When most people hear Bugatti, they think million-dollar hypercars breaking speed records. But behind those incredible machines lies a story most people don't know, one filled with genius, heartbreak, and some of the cruelest twists of fate imaginable. Picture this: a brilliant engineer pours his heart and soul into building something revolutionary. He watches his creation flourish. His son is ready to take over his legacy. Then, suddenly, it all comes crashing down. His son dies tragically. His factory is seized during the war. He's forced into exile. And just when he finally gets it all back, he dies 10 days later, never getting to see that his name would one day represent the absolute pinnacle of automotive excellence. That's what happened to Ettore Bugatti. It's the story of how a brilliant Italian engineer created automotive masterpieces, lost everything, and how, decades after his death, his name rose like a phoenix to become the legendary brand we know today. Milan, Italy, 1881. The Bugatti family was artistic royalty. Ettore's father, Carlo, was a furniture designer to European elites. His grandfather was a famous architect and sculptor. Everyone expected the Bugatti children to follow the family tradition. Ettore's younger brother, Rembrandt, did just that, becoming an incredible animal sculptor. But Ettore marched to the beat of a completely different drum. While the family was all about art, teenage Ettore couldn't keep his hands off anything mechanical. At 16, he stood in front of his father, completely disassembling a bicycle and putting it back together perfectly. Carlo watched, realizing his son had a gift, just not the one he expected. Instead of art school, Carlo had Ettore apprenticed at Prinetti and Stucchi, a bicycle and sewing machine factory in Milan. But Ettore didn't just learn the trade. Within his first year, he had already designed and built his own motorized tricycle and was entering racing competitions. Word spread about his teenage mechanical prodigy, and by 19, Ettore landed a contract with D. Dietrich, designing cars for them in Germany. But here's where Ettore's true brilliance emerged. He completely rejected conventional thinking. Back then, everyone thought car performance meant one thing: massive engines and heavy bodies. Ettore had a radical idea: lightweight, agile cars with smaller, precisely engineered engines could outperform the lumbering beasts everyone else was building. It was the automotive equivalent of float like a butterfly, sting like a bee, decades before Muhammad Ali coined the phrase. This philosophy became the DNA of Bugatti, but first, Ettore had to prove the skeptics wrong. Ettore was just 22 when he built a revolutionary car for the Paris-Madrid race in 1903. Race officials actually banned it from competing, while everyone else had drivers sitting up high. Ettore positioned both driver and engine low in the chassis for better aerodynamics and a lower center of gravity. People thought he was crazy. 20 years later, every racing car would use this exact design. After bouncing between a few companies and butting heads with management everywhere he went, Ettore decided enough was enough. Working nights in his basement, he built the Bugatti Type 10 in 1909, a lightweight car with a modest 1.2-liter engine that could hit 80 kilometers per hour. That might not sound impressive today, but back then it was revolutionary. With this breakthrough, Ettore founded Automobiles Ettore Bugatti in Molsheim, Alsace. 1909 turned out to be Ettore's golden year. He created his revolutionary car, started his company, and welcomed his first son, Jan, into the world. Little did he know this baby boy would one day become crucial to the Bugatti legacy. Ettore was a marketing genius too. He realized racing wasn't just sport. It was the perfect showcase for his radical designs. When his Type 13 took second place at the 1911 French Grand Prix, people couldn't believe this tiny car was outperforming giant competitors. Racing became Bugatti's proving ground, and advertisement rolled into one. Everything was going perfectly. Designs winning races, reputation soaring, company growing. Then World War I erupted and everything ground to a halt. When war broke out, the Germans occupied Moschim and took over Ettore's factory. Just like that, everything he'd built was gone. Ettore escaped to Paris, where he teamed up with the Duesenberg brothers, designing aircraft engines for the Allied forces. During this dark time, Ettore suffered his first major personal tragedy when his talented brother Rembrandt committed suicide. It was a crushing blow, but Ettore kept pushing forward. Once the war ended, Ettore returned to Moschim, which had become French territory, and got right back into what he did best, building revolutionary cars. The upgraded Type 13 came back with a vengeance, winning at Le Mans in 1920 and dominating at Brescia in 1921, so thoroughly that people started calling it the Bugatti Type 13 Brescia. But it was the Type 35 that would cement Bugatti's legend. Unveiled in 1924, this car was remarkable. That distinctive horseshoe-shaped radiator, French racing, blue paint job, and engineering years ahead of everyone else. The Type 35 dominated European racing, winning over 1,000 races, including 5 straight victories at the brutal Targa Florio mountain race. The secret? Ettore's obsession with weight reduction and precision engineering. He even created a hollow front axle that was both lighter and stronger than conventional designs. Nobody was thinking like this back then. By 1926, Ettore and his now teenage son Jan decided to expand beyond racing into the luxury market. They created the Type 41 Royale, the longest and most luxurious car in the world. This beast had a 12.7-liter engine that made about 300 horsepower. It was so exclusive that Ettore personally vetted potential buyers, selling only to royalty and aristocrats. With Jan working alongside his father, bringing fresh ideas and modern styling to complement Ettore's engineering genius, Bugatti rose to the peak of the automotive world. They were untouchable. But as the 1920s came to a close, storm clouds were gathering. The Great Depression was about to test Bugatti in ways even Ettore's genius couldn't have prepared for. When the market crashed in 1929, the luxury car business evaporated overnight. Who would spend a fortune on a Bugatti Royale when the global economy was crumbling? Sales of Bugatti's flagship model crashed, and the company teetered on the edge of bankruptcy. But Ettore was resourceful. The French government approached him about designing rail cars, and though it was far from his passion for automobiles, Ettore took the deal. Between 1933 and 1939, Bugatti produced 80 rail cars that kept the company afloat during the darkest economic times. Still, trouble kept coming. Workers at the Moschim plant went on strike, demanding better pay and conditions. Ettore, who prided himself on knowing every employee's name and treating them like family, felt deeply betrayed. He eventually gave in to their demands, but something broke between him and his workforce that day, a rift that never truly healed. Through all this turmoil, Jan Bugatti emerged as the company's bright future. Now in his 20s, Jan oversaw both racing and design, bringing fresh ideas while honoring his father's engineering principles. Under Jan's direction, Bugatti created some of his most iconic designs, including the Type 57 SC Atlantic, that incredible car with a distinctive riveted fin running down its spine. Jan's masterpiece, the Type 57 Tank, won the grueling 24 Hours of Le Mans in both 1937 and 1939. These victories seemed to signal that Bugatti had weathered the worst of the Depression. The father-son partnership was thriving. By the late 1930s, Jan was essentially running the company day to day. Ettore's dream of keeping Bugatti in the family for generations seemed secure. The company was adapting to new automotive trends while staying true to its core values of exceptional performance and luxury. But fate had something unspeakably cruel waiting just around the corner. August 1939 should have been a time to celebrate. Bugatti had just won Le Mans again with a Type 57 tank. The future looked bright, with Jan Bugatti ready to lead the company into a new era. On August 11th, Jan was testing a Type 57 racer on a closed road near the factory. Despite safety measures, a cyclist somehow got through a hole in the fence and onto the track. When Jan spotted him, he swerved to avoid a collision. The car lost control and slammed into a tree. Jan Bugatti, just 30 years old, the heir to the Bugatti Empire, Ettore's beloved son and chosen successor, died instantly. For Ettore, it was devastating beyond words. Jan wasn't just his son, he was his partner, his future, the person who would carry forward everything he'd built. But the nightmare was just beginning. 3 weeks after Jan's death, World War II erupted. German forces invaded Alsace and seized the Bugatti factory. Though Ettore managed to move some machinery to safety, it wasn't enough. The Germans demanded that Bugatti produce materials for their war effort. Ettore refused. Already drowning in debt and grief, he was forced to sell his company and all its equipment for less than half its value. Fleeing to Paris with what family he had, Ettore tried designing aircraft engines to stay afloat, but his past caught up with him. Despite living most of his life in France, Ettore had never become a French citizen. After the war, this proved disastrous because Italy had allied with Germany. Ettore faced accusations of collaborating with the occupiers. When peace finally came, the French government refused to help him reclaim his company. Ettore took them to court and lost. Meanwhile, in 1944, his wife Barbara died, yet another crushing personal loss. By 1947, Ettore's health was failing fast. He had lung disease and had suffered a stroke that left him partially paralyzed. And then came the cruelest twist of all. The French courts finally ruled in his favor, returning his company and property to him. But it was too late. Just 10 days after regaining everything he'd fought for, on August 21st, 1947, Ettore Bugatti died at 66 years old. He never saw how his name would become legendary in automotive history. Without Ettore or Jan to lead it, the Bugatti company couldn't continue. The once bustling factory in Molsheim fell silent. The greatest automotive story of the early 20th century seemed to have reached its end. But great stories sometimes get unexpected new chapters. For decades after Ettore's death, Bugatti existed only as a memory, a name whispered with reverence among car collectors and historians. The rights to the name bounced around, but no new Bugattis rolled off any production line. Then in 1987, an Italian entrepreneur named Romano Artioli decided the world needed Bugatti back. He bought the rights and established a new Bugatti company in Italy. In 1991, exactly 110 years after Ettore's birth, Artioli unveiled the Bugatti EB110. It had a quad-turbocharged V12 engine, a carbon fiber chassis, when that was still exotic technology, and a top speed of 213 miles per hour. The automotive world was stunned. Bugatti was back. But history has a way of repeating itself. Despite critical acclaim, financial troubles hit, and by 1995, Artioli's Bugatti had gone bankrupt after building just 139 EB110s. Once again, the Bugatti story seemed finished. Then in 1998 came the plot twist nobody saw coming. Volkswagen Group bought Bugatti. The people's car company now owned the most elite automotive name in history. Volkswagen understood what they had. They established new headquarters in Molsheim, bringing Bugatti home, and spent years developing something that would truly honor Ettore's legacy. In 2005, they unveiled the Bugatti Veyron quad-turbocharged W16 engine, 1,001 horsepower, top speed of 254 miles per hour, making it the fastest production car ever made. The Veyron wasn't just about raw speed though. Each one took months to hand build, with interiors using materials that would make luxury yachts jealous. At $1.7 million a piece, the Veyron, like the Royale before it, was only for the world's ultra-wealthy. In 2016 came the Chiron, pushing boundaries even further. A modified version eventually broke the 300-mile-per-hour barrier in 2019, something that would have made speed-obsessed Ettore beam with pride. Today's Bugattis like the Divo, 110, and the one-of-a-kind La Voiture Noire, which sold for a mind-blowing $19 million, keep Ettore's vision alive, combining cutting-edge technology with old-world craftsmanship in ways that seem almost magical. More than 110 years after Ettore Bugatti founded his company in Mulchine, and despite tragedies that would have destroyed any lesser legacy, the Bugatti name still represents the absolute pinnacle of what's possible on four wheels. What makes Bugatti's story so powerful is how it combines both triumph and tragedy. Ettore's revolutionary vision, Jan's heartbreaking death, losing everything in the war, and then the almost cruel irony of getting it all back just days before death. It's almost too dramatic to be real, but it happened. When a modern Bugatti Chiron blasts past, breaking speed records and turning heads, it's carrying more than just its wealthy owner. It's carrying the story of a man who refused to follow the crowd, who suffered unimaginable loss, and who created something so special that not even a war, depression, or death could erase it from our collective imagination. That's the tragic, yet ultimately triumphant story of Bugatti.